All right, we're back, everybody. Welcome to the Whatever's Biting podcast. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to cover a new lure that just came out, some fishing, some stuff coming up that we're going to be doing. But first off, of course, I'm John from Creek Fishing Adventures.
And I'm Ethan from Fish Anything.
Ethan, how you're getting settled into your new house? We both moved in recently.
Yeah, man.
Things getting a little bit better for you, or are you still disorganized?
No, really good now. Really good. I had ripped out all the carpet in my basement and we had put in some vinyl down there. And that's been a process, but got it all put in, done with that. Garage is getting halfway tidied up. My man cave set up. Although I'm not sitting in my man cave right now. I'll probably do that on the next show. But yeah, I feel like I'm finally getting my feet under me a little bit. How about you?
I spent yesterday was Saturday, and I spent 4 hours probably in my garage taking all the boxes of lures and just like all these boxes of stuff and just separating things into littler boxes. and I am so bad about procrastinating. I will push stuff off forever, like push it off. But like I still have stuff to do on my background that I've got sitting around.
Good, I haven't
really done it yet. I want to add some more things. But finally, I'm like made myself, because I got a trip coming up for a bass tournament in Florida this coming week, and I really want to be like, I want to try to get some extra footage, also do good in the tournament, also do some other fishing. But I'm like, all right, I got to know where all my stuff is. I have so much fishing stuff that I can't find it because I have so much. And that's that's kind of a weird thing. Cause like 5-6 years ago, I would have like one bag of lures, and that was like all the lures I have. Now I just have like boxes and boxes, and then when I'm looking for something, I'm like, I can't find it. So it's annoying actually having too much stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time going through organizing. I built a stand for my kayak to put on so I can kind of keep it in the garage. I got to add some wheels to it, but I want to be able to like work on it, like get it fixed how I want to get it fixed.
Yeah.
Inside. So I got that to do tomorrow before I like leave here pretty soon. So
yeah, dude.
But anyways, it felt good to get that organized.
That's a good point though. Like I've been thinking about my kayaks, and I honestly think I would end up like tinkering and rigging my kayaks so much more if I just had them on a proper like rack. They just sit on the floor, or they're, I formerly had hung them on the side of my garage in my old house, and it's just like, I kind of want to build like a kayak crate type thing, or just like on wheels, and just have one on the bottom and one on top, the one that I primarily use on top. And I feel like I would end up messing with it more and actually getting it rigged up the way I want it if I just had it more accessible. Simple little things, but that's probably a project I need to do at some point.
I know. And well, the thing is, like, you can, I think, well, especially as it gets warmer, I'm like working in my garage and doing stuff.
Yeah.
It'll motivate me to like make videos on that.
Sure.
Where I feel like I'm like, all right, here's the kayak. I'm inside, out of the wind. I can set it up and do a video. And that's kind of what I want to do, some more stuff going forward. But also just trying things and messing around. If it's just sitting there, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and rig this up. I want to try this out. But all my kayaks have always sat outside forever. And I kind of just don't do anything to them because I like it. Because it's always simpler. Just kind of leave it laying out there and not do nothing.
Yeah.
But so let's get right into what everybody's waiting to hear. So since our last podcast, we teased a couple things that there were some big things coming out. And on January the 20th, Ethan, you dropped a brand new lure for the mule fishing that I got to be a part of.
Yes,
so we now have the Bluegrass Bug, if you haven't heard of it.
Cue the fiddle music.
A little bit about it.
Now we need to bring someone else in on the podcast that can play the fiddle in the background, or something. Maybe we need to find a bluegrass friend.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I feel like a lot of people have probably seen it by now, but if they haven't, man, I'm excited to talk about it. I think we're gonna give a little bit of a backstory on kind of the why, talk about the what, talk about the how, everything.
Yeah, we'll just go through it here. We'll break it down. We got a couple of things to talk about. I did catch a whole bunch of yellow bass yesterday, so nice. I'll talk about that. We'll talk about that at the end, and I got a little show and tell. But the main thing, we'll talk about this lure because it's not every day a new lure gets invented. And also, we both we're the people that helped do this. You did way more than me, but we're also both YouTubers and podcasters now. So we can actually talk and like tell people how this came to be, where a lot of people probably will never hear, how does a lure come about and stuff like that. So, and it's very simple though. You think it's some big elaborate thing, but it's just simple things that have to just lay out. I was talking to, me and you were both on country KKOA, Country Kids Outdoors podcast, and talking about it and how it just kind of was like an idea. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but like from how I remember, you were like, hey, is there a lure you want to make? And that's how it started.
Yeah, it could have been more complicated, I suppose, if you would have been, come up with something that was really, really out there and hard to produce. But, the design's not that challenging, really. And that's what I liked about it. The Bluegrass Bug, I guess you can go to www.mulefishing.com and then click on the Bluegrass Bug. You can see all these high res pictures and stuff, but I'll go ahead and show it for those of you who are watching in the package here. I think the beauty of this and what got me excited about it is the fact that it's a very simple design. It really just looks like a water bug. If you Google water bug, you're going to see something that looks about like that. But I think what's nice about it is it's kind of a bulkier profile, and it was different than anything else that I have offered in the Mule lineup. So when you send it along, I'm like, yeah, man, that seems like a really kind of like a good fit here. So I was happy. So yeah, we drew it up, we sketched it out, we did all sorts of, design work and stuff. But ultimately we were able to put it all together. I mean, yeah, it took us about a year, but here we are.
Yeah. I mean, and from the start, like I'd already like the design from my end, I've had for like 2 years. So when Ethan asked about it, I was like, yeah, I got a lure. If you can make it, I think it's real simple and it could fit with your kind of what you got going on. And it was something I'd already thought of like years ago. So it wasn't like something I was like, oh, let me come up with something. So that part was kind of real easy. And then you were able to take it and, tweak it and get it to where it is today. But the simplicity of it was something that me and you are very similar with. We just like things that are so simple, easy.
Yep.
We could have asked for all kinds of extra curves and appendages and this and that. I don't think any of that would have made any difference of how many fish you're going to catch on it. I think it might make difference to people like, buying it. But
well, that's what's funny. I find that with mule fishing, like how I've designed this company from the start is all about keep things simple. It's like, I'm trying to sell fish. I'm not trying to sell fishermen necessarily. Obviously, I want people to buy the products, but the goal is simple, tried and true, simple and effective. Catch me as many fish as I possibly can. I'm not going to ever be the company that has 37 colors. I know a lot of people constantly ask me for more colors. I'm going to keep things pretty simple. And sometimes I'll put a little weird color out there to kind of mix it up and give us some options. But for the most part, it's pretty simple color schemes too. It's blacks, it's browns, it's stuff that's pretty tried and true. Now, you made me stretch myself a little bit. You were like, Ethan, I want to come out with a special color called creek water. I want something that kind of like resembles like a real clear, beautiful creek. And like, I think we've all seen a body of water like that, where it's that like weirdly like blue water, kind of like what is it? Like what is that color? That
just aqua color,
aqua, yeah, like a little teal. Teal was the color I was looking for. Kind of a unique color. So I did put out there creek water inspired by you. And I'm excited to use that one, dude. It's a very strange, I've never seen anything like it. So I'm excited about that one. Otherwise though, I kept things really simple. And then I think that's what I think is beautiful about this bait is it's unique. There's really not much out there that's like this from a profile standpoint. And so it's bringing kind of a new look to the fish. And so far, it seems like you've had a lot of success. I've had a little bit of success, but I haven't had as much time fishing with it as you have. So I am super jealous every time I see you post a picture on it.
Well, speaking of your success, if you haven't watched Ethan's video, first time using it, you got 108,000 views on that video now.
I know. It's like the most views I've gotten in so long. So thank you for everyone.
It just took off. And I've been keeping up. It just keeps growing. What's your most viewed video now? Do you have
I've got
Maybe.
some in like the 300,000s.
Okay.
Like I'm not like you were a celebrity, so I can't
Yeah.
I cannot keep up with you. Every third video for you goes to 1 million views. For me, I'm just like I'm just hanging out here in the thousands. But someday maybe I'll be famous like you.
I got a couple good ones. Most of them, it's all about consistency mainly. So
Yeah,
if I get 20,000, I'm still happy. Where that's a lot. So still, I'll
it
take
is.
that.
That's a lot of people watching a video.
But so the creek water was was a color I kind of was just like I just wanted to see, and I've already used it, and it worked. It's worked great for me.
Yeah,
So
you've got a bunch on it.
I think it's an odd color where a lot of people are just going to are not going to try it. But one thing I've learned, and getting to fish with a lot of lures and getting to do a lot of trying is sometimes the color that doesn't make sense to you is the color that works really well.
Yeah,
So don't be afraid to try colors, even if because in our mind we get things set. We're like, oh, this is going to work, or this is not going to work.
yeah.
You never know. I would suggest trying them all. And plus, there's 6 colors, so it's not like there's a million. So let's talk about the name. So describe your tell us about mule fishing, what your theme is, how that came
Yeah.
about, and then I'll tell you how we kind of chose the name for the
Yeah. So mule fishing for me, like I have so much fun like branding it because it's just like I'm trying to tell a story. Like the logo, if you look at the logo for mule fishing, that's a silhouette picture of my grandpa. The reason that mule fishing is named mule fishing is literally, it's so simple. Is because my grandma and grandpa growing up loved mules. They had mules, they had horses, they loved them. And it was always just this thing. It's like they loved their mules. And so I'm like, man, I want to do something that kind of like honors my family, like that reminds me of family, that like it's just important to me. And so I was like, and then what the other thing is, well, what does the company stand for? I want it to be a hard worker. I mean, a mule is known to, work hard. That's it. Like you bring a pack mule to carry all your stuff, like they're hardworking animals. And just a simple, hardworking company is what I wanted to make. So I'm like, man, when I thought of the word mule, I'm like, that's it. And then I had a picture of my grandpa, and I'm like, man, this is just perfect. And so ever since then, really the core, like the heart of the company is just, I want it to be kind of like this Western vibes. Like I want it to kind of have a story to tell a little bit. I've got some colors and stuff that have some kind of like hidden meanings for me. I don't usually broadly talk about that necessarily, but generally speaking, there's a lot of, with regards to naming things, it always has a meaning behind it. And so like, if you look at Dakota Sunrise, like my other side of the family is all from North Dakota. And there was kind of like a key moment in my life that made me think of the word Dakota Sunrise. And that's why that color came about. And that's one of my most popular colors for a lot of my other baits. But the list goes on. And so ultimately everything I wanted to be kind of Western themed, that kind of in line with that mule. But I want it to have a meaning. And so when I partnered with you, you probably remember this. It was, I had some ideas in my head, like, hey, this is maybe something we could name it. And I'm not going to talk about those names because they might be used for something else in the future. But I was like, but I really want you to have a hand in naming this bait because it's kind of something for you. Now, I'm not going to call it the John Dalton bug. That doesn't make sense. But give me something. And you did some thinking. We bounced some stuff back and forth, and eventually we landed on bluegrass bug. So I'd love for you to kind of walk me through the bluegrass. Like, why bluegrass?
Yeah, so I had I can't remember. We had a few different things, and a couple of them were already used by other companies. I was like, oh man, that would work. And then so I got the bluegrass bug. I was like, how about this? Because first off, I was born in Kentucky, and my first memories of fishing in creeks are in Kentucky, and Kentucky is the bluegrass state.
Mm-hmm.
Bluegrass state, horses, race horses and all that. So it's not really bluegrass music. I guess it could be.
I love bluegrass music though, so
it could kind of refer to that too. But it's also like I've also thought like it's just bugs live in the grass, bluegrass bug, and that's to me that's kind of how it all came about and kind of how I put thought into it. Because like and there's some kind of bug out there called a bluegrass.
Oh, really?
I looked it up.
That's
it's
hilarious.
like some weird little bug that lives in the grass.
Well, no one's going to ever know about that again because we're going to take over the internet when people type in bluegrass bug.
Yeah, so that kind of, it just kind of paired. It has meaning to me where I started creek fishing, what all this came from. You know, the only reason I do it now from on YouTube is from, you know, doing it when I was 6, 7 years old. And so it's awesome to have a lure that I helped design. And actually, it took a year to kind of, from when we first talked about it to getting it out, and now it's a lure that I've caught fish on. And thanks to all the other people out there, there's already been, I don't know, a dozen probably videos.
Yeah, there have
made.
been. Yeah, I appreciate everyone that's doing that. I wish I could keep up with videos and stuff better than I do. But if you guys, if you happen to make videos, if you happen to even make content at all, Instagram, whatever, and you are using this stuff, please tag us, please. And if it's a video, please send me a message on Instagram or John or both of us, and send us those videos. We want to see them. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with stuff, and I'm not always great about, you know, seeing everything that's out there that mentions my company, but I do love seeing it. And I know John's going to be stoked to see people catching fish on something he helped design, because for me, I remember like that feeling when I first got into doing this, like being able to see like my own success validated. I was like, I know people are going to catch fish on this. But then people started to buy it, and then they would send pictures, and I'm like, okay, this is like even more rewarding. Like to see that you guys are actually having great experiences on the water with the gear that I helped design and brought to the market is so rewarding. And I'm so excited for John to experience that firsthand, because it's a new feeling, and it's not something that he's probably used to yet. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah. Just seeing people review buy it. And I've gotten so many messages and things like, oh, I've got them in, or I'm putting an order in. And a lot of people haven't got a chance to fish a lot, but several people have already caught a ton of fish on them and just use it. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like in March. You know, we hit March and everybody gets out and starts fishing. And I have some goals myself to like catch some certain fish on it. And I'm just waiting for that opportunity. But I did. So the video that I do have using it, I took it to a river locally, and it was a great kind of a warm day. And I guess this was 2 weeks ago now. It was like the 1st of February, and the water was low and clear, and I caught like 12 bass on it. And the biggest one was an 18-inch spotted bass, and then like a 16-inch largemouth, and then a bunch of other ones. And I was just throwing it like this right here. It's just a weedless, you know, offset jig head, 1/16 ounce. I think I was actually using a different one than this one, but this is one I used that's similar. And this lure, you say 2 inches, like that's pretty small, but it fishes and looks bigger than 2 inches.
Yep.
It's got a good bulky body, and if you're worried about it being too small for bass fishing, it's not too small. It is. I think it's a great size. That all size bass are going to pick this up.
Oh man, I think this is going to be such a good bass fishing bait. I mean, it already has been proved that it does work, but I think, to your point, a 2-inch bait, like you hear that and like, I like a small crappie bait. It's like this. I don't know. I was so blown away when I saw it firsthand the first time. I'm like, this came out different than I thought it would, but I'm not mad about it at all. Like I'm really, really happy. Like, and I haven't had that experience yet, you know, in designing baits. Is everything kind of comes out. I'm like, all right, this is exactly what I thought it would look like. Everything kind of, this one was this weird, unique experience where I opened it up for the first time, seeing it. I'm like, this is a little like bulkier feeling than I realized I was creating. And I'm really happy because it's so unique. But yeah, I think from a bass fishing standpoint, that's going to be a really good thing. And I think what's nice is keeping things small, but you've got that bulk to it. And so it's going to be obviously like a tremendous like Ned rig style bait, Ned rig, you know, type of plastic. But then obviously you could rig it 10 other ways too. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But you know, throw it on a standard Ned rig, you've got a shorter profile than a lot of the other ones out there that people are throwing. So number one, you've got a little bit different look. Number two, when it comes to bass, these fish have a big mouth. They are going to slurp it every single time they go for it. It's got that bulky profile, so they're still going to go for it, but they have no option of nipping at the tail or anything like that because it's small. And so I think about this and I think, man, bed fishing, like gonna be fantastic. And and that's a one weird niche thing that'll be good. But just in general, it's just got that smaller but yet bulky profile. And you've already caught several other fish on it too. So it's not like you're getting so big and bulky that you can't still catch, sunfish and stuff. You still can.
Oh yeah.
But I do think that personally, I think bass is where I'm going to spend 90% of my time with this bait. And who knows what the future has to hold. It's like, obviously, I'm really excited about this one, but who knows? Maybe we would consider something smaller in the future.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people asking about maybe something else, and I'll actually say when the first time I saw it, like you sent me a pack, I hadn't seen it at all. I opened it up and I was like, "Oh, wow, that's bigger than I thought in my mind." But the more I've used it, the more I've seen it, I'm like, actually, I love it. I'm not like, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't like it, but it's just like the way it turned out perfect for like just a downsized bass lure, which, yeah, I've already caught a couple different sunfish on it, just messing around.
Yeah.
And whatever else. And plus I fish a lot of areas where there's a lot of small bass. So if I want to catch those 10 inchers, I'm not going to be missing them. I'm still going to catch them. Same as a 20 incher. But yeah, it was funny first time looking at it. But yeah, I can see, and a lot of people have been asking, like, hey, what if you just maybe cut that down a little bit? And yeah, so that might be in the works. It just takes time and money and all that kind of stuff. So, but we hear you a lot. I appreciate people like saying and giving suggestions. I love hearing that. Like, dude, I love it. But what about this? So I love that they're invested in it.
That is the name of the game in owning a fishing company. And it's like, I love when people give me feedback. It's just funny, like the unsolicited feedback I get so often will be like, hey, you should make this. Hey, you should make this. It's like I can't make everything. So I have to, like, when I start to see common themes, I start to, all right, well, maybe. But anyways, one other thing I wanted to point out about this bait, because I think, people are like, they see something like this and think, oh, that's a little kind of a strange looking profile. And it's like, what does it mimic? It's like, well, this thing to me, it's called a bug for a reason. It mimics aquatic insects. But I think the other thing to consider is that this is a profile bait. So it's not an action bait, it's a profile bait. I tend to classify things those two ways. If it's an action bait, it's going to have a bunch of appendages that move a ton of water. If it's a profile bait, it's going to be more about what the presentation looks like, not necessarily the displacement of water or the specific action. It's going to be kind of what that profile looks like. And to me, aquatic insect, but I think about a crawdad. I mean, what is the main reason a bass wouldn't eat a crawdad? Pinchers. Like, that's, if you've ever seen underwater footage of a bass trying to eat a crawdad, they're kind of like nipping at him. They're trying to get him, but the crawdad's got his pinchers up and he's fighting back. Mm-hmm. And it's very common for crawfish to lose their pinchers or to have really small ones. This can look like a crawfish. This can look like a minnow. This can look like a darter. This can look like a million things. There are so many different types of little critters underwater that are about 2 inches long and kind of a bulky profile. So while I would say this mostly looks like a bug of some type, don't get hung up in what it looks like. Focus more on the fact that it probably looks like a lot of things.
And what I've learned, I love fishing lures like that because the less you do, sometimes for the most part, is the better. Like I fit a hellgrammite, a crawdad, stoneflies, any larva, caterpillar, anything that comes, those things like come out of the water. Like all these there's all kinds of different creatures that come out of the water. Mm-hmm. And fish love them. That's like I think that's fish's favorite food. Any fish, and they love stuff like that. I think it's just so easy. It's so rich for them. But fishing a lure like this and just doing nothing, just letting it sit on the bottom or just letting it tumble, just looks like something that got kicked off a rock. And it's just going to pick it up so easy. And you don't really have to, if you're like trying to do too much action, it's not normal. You don't have to make it look like a minnow swimming or something like that. You can just throw it out, do nothing, let it fall, let it sink. And usually fish will just pick it up pretty easily. When the ones I was catching the other day, they were on this log. There was like, it was about 4 or 5 foot of water.
John, you all right, buddy?
Yeah. I thought I got over the cough, but I mean, like a week ago, I couldn't even talk this much. So, but anyhow, there was fish. I'm like in my kayak, and there's this log that's like 30. It's like almost out in the middle of the river. It's like 30 feet off the bank, and there was fish lined up all up and down it.
Wow.
And I would throw my lure up and let it kind of hit the current and fall down and tumble down beside that log, and I had no tension on the line. I let my line go totally loose to kind of let it fall all the way down. And then I would slowly give it a little tension, and the fish would just kind of grab it and just barely start swimming off with it. And if I did it too fast, if I kind of tried to keep my line tight, that lure would just swim back to me because of the current. Because it would never give it a chance to fall. So that's something I've learned over the years, and I figured it would work with this lure, and it was exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
But
I love when you dial in a presentation and current, and you're like, you're on it. You've got that proper level of slack line, but you feel like you have control. There's not too much current drifting your bait, but it's drifting it a little, that sweet spot, and you find it. And then it sounds like you caught several fish on one log, which is, it just validates so much that, like, okay, I've got this. I know.
I actually watched, I watched 2 of them eat it, and one of them hooked and one didn't. I'm looking down and letting my lure fall to the bottom, and I had to let my lure sit there, and I would watch the fish come over and look at it, take a second. Sometimes they'd reposition themselves, and I would like move the lure up a little bit and let it tumble back to them, and then that's usually when they picked it up, and it was kind of tumbling to them. One of them, I watched him eat it, and then just open his mouth again. You know how they just bite it like
right out,
and I missed it. And then I watched one of them eat it, and I hooked him and got him. It was really cool to just watch it. So for me, that's just something I've learned because I do so much clear water fishing. Watching fish eat lures helps you get a mental picture in your mind when you're fishing and you can't see fish.
Yeah, 100%.
Because so many times slower, the slower and slower you fish certain lures, the more fish you catch, or you give those fish time to eat. And then sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you got to move really fast. But,
well, that's what I was gonna say is like, how much I'm so glad you brought that up, because if you get a chance to fish in clear water that actually you can sight fish in, you got to go get some experience doing that, because to John's point, like, you can learn so much about how they react. Like, there are times when I'm like, I kill something and like the fish is nose down, I kind of looking at it, but he's not sure. And then I just boom, and I move it real quick, and he hammers it, just absolutely smokes it. And it's like, you learn that. And then you're like, okay, it's muddy water. I can't see my stuff. I'm going to just like, maybe there's one down there, I'm going to do that. And it's like, even if there's not, like, that might catch the attention of another one kind of thing. So it's like, you start to learn those behaviors, and you cater your retrieve to it. And I can tell you, it absolutely makes a difference. So John, you just showed that rig with the EWG. Do you have any other ideas for kind of some other ways you want to fish this from a rigging standpoint? Or do you find yourself, I know you throw a lot of those EWG hooks, like with the little round ball head. Is there anything else that's on your mind as far as how you would want to throw it?
I want to try like top water and just put like a wacky rig style hook in there and throw it in the summer when fish get a little more active and they're coming up and eating stuff, because you can just throw it over some grass or off a bank, and just like a little bug falling in, fish, boom, they love to come up and hammer it. So that's something I want to try. I haven't been able to do yet. I might try it when I go to Florida here this week, just see what it does. I don't know if it's supposed to get cold down there too, like the same week. So I hope that doesn't mess up everything. But also I've caught fish on a BFS setup with this lure, and I've caught it on a medium fast. So it kind of works with a lot of different options of rod and reel setups, like how you want to do it.
Yeah, I would say probably more often than not for me, I'll probably use like a medium light bass rod. Like, that's kind of like my Ned rig rod, but definitely you can fish it on a little bit lighter equipment. I probably wouldn't chuck it around too much on really, really light stuff, like, 2-pound test or anything like that. But I probably kind of like that mid-size light combos, medium light. You could probably get away with ultralight, but probably want more of the braid setup or something like that, just to kind of justify that little bit bulkier profile. But as far as rigging goes, for me, I've been throwing it on primarily on the 3/32 ounce Mule jig, because like I said, that's just a typical Ned rig setup right there. And I like the 3/32 better than the 1/16 personally, just because this bait is so bulky and it's buoyant. So just a little bit more jig weight gets it down just a little bit better. So I like that profile and I like that action on that weight specifically. But I definitely think the EWG is a good route. I think a Texas rig, same exact thing. Just use like a size 1 hook. I think a drop shot's going to be pretty good, especially I can see myself using like a little bit shorter leader and running a drop shot for shallower fish that are around vegetation and stuff like that. Just kind of get this thing and just let it hover right around the weed bed. That'll look like an insect of some type, kind of stuck in the weeds, which is typically a lot of times where those little bugs are. And then I think a lot of people throw like little Carolina rigs and stuff like that. I kind of want to experiment with that myself, because I think with that buoyancy, this bait's going to kind of hover up. And so if you're just dragging something along rocks or a weed bed or whatever, I could see how that would be really effective. But definitely this spring and summer, I'm excited to experiment and just try different things with it, because it really isn't. It's designed to be versatile and be able to fish numerous ways. So pretty excited to play around myself.
If you have any other questions about that, you can leave them in the comments or maybe message us. But if you haven't got them and you want to get some, mulefishing.com, you can go on there. And if you never got anything from mulefishing.com, there's other lures you might want to pick up also. So how many lures total do you have? Do you know?
So I've got, I should know the number right off the top of my head. Donkey Tail Junior, Donkey Tail, Horsefly, Mule Minnow 1.2, 2.2, 3.2, Jackworm, Burrow Bug, Bluegrass Bug. I don't think I'm missing anything. So I think that would be 9 plastics right there. And then I've got jigs, which was what I originally started mule fishing with. So the mule jigs, it's all just kind of like micro Ned rigs. We've got floats, and I've got some Bronco blades, which is like a little jig spinner, as well as some workhorse jigs, which are a little bit heavier jig, a little bit stouter hook. Would probably actually work quite well with the Bluegrass Bug. Definitely works well with the Burrow Bug. Yeah, if you guys happen to pick up the Bluegrass Bug, I think other baits that you might enjoy as well. If you're looking for some more of like a smaller bass presentation, I think the Jackworm would be really effective for you. And the full size Donkey Tail is another just awesome bass bait. That was one of the first baits I launched, because of the fact that little small, 2.8 inch swim bait, man, you can catch a pile of fish on that.
Yeah, it's another lure it's that small profile, but man, it just catches everything. And how many bass tournaments are won off of a 2.5 or 3 inch minnow? Like, so it's crazy, especially with the scopers and everything.
Oh yeah,
but that's why I hate when people are like, throw bigger lures. I'm like, sometimes it helps, but people catching 6 and 7 pounders on 3 inch minnows all the time.
Oh yeah. You got to throw what you want to throw. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I got a little update before we do. I got a show and tell here in a second. Something I've been messing with, but a little fishing update on a fish that I've never caught. It's from Michigan's Department of Natural Resources. I get an email. I get emails from all kinds of states now that I've gotten licenses everywhere. So they are introducing, let's see here, on May the 12th, they're going to be,
I know what you're going to say,
total of 400,000 grayling eggs.
Yep. Okay.
Are going to be into the Little River and the Ottawa Indians, the Little Chippewas. Anyhow, they're I guess reintroducing grayling into back into Michigan.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this for the last few years, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It says Arctic grayling, often referred to as grayling, are the freshwater fish in the salmon family. If you've never seen one, they got that weird little, what do you call that fin? They got that weird fin that comes up dorsal really high. Fin.
Yeah, they have that cool. It's really pretty. When I don't know. I think sometimes they get like in specific colors. Maybe it's like a spawning colors type thing. I'm not sure, but yeah, they've got that big dorsal fin.
Right
almost
now,
almost like a sailfish.
Yeah, right now they're in the Arctic Ocean and Alaska and rivers and streams of northern U.S. and Canada. Native to only Michigan and Montana out of the lower 48 states.
I see. Yeah, I knew that I was going to say, I knew that they were reintroducing them because they were like at one point around. So obviously you just said native. So
they said 1936 is like the last time they, I guess that's kind of when they went extinct.
Huh. I'll be
from
interested
Michigan.
to see how all that goes because we've probably introduced so many other types of trout and stuff in these waters. It's like, do they outcompete them? And like, will these fish be able to, I don't know. And then let alone the fact that I bet you a lot of these waterways are much warmer now than they would have been 70 years ago, 100
Hmm.
years ago. I'm going to be interested to hear how all this plays out. I got to go catch one.
Yeah, you have to keep up with where they're at when they get,
They're probably farther north than me. They're not going to be down
yeah.
this way, but I suppose I could make a little trip someday in the future.
Somebody at some point, somebody gonna start catching them. But yeah, that's a cool looking fish. I've seen them in like videos, but I never knew they were. I guess that's just crazy that they were native to Michigan almost 100 years ago.
Yeah, Michigan.
So,
I mean, like our state fishes the brook trout, and it's like you got to go north to catch those. At one point, I think many years ago, I think that would have been a fish that was pretty common across the whole state of Michigan. But in my area now, in the southern part of Michigan, I think it's quite rare for people to catch him. Now, I'm sure there's little spots here and there you can still do it. But I remember when I was really getting into the trout fishing thing, I was trying to search high and low for where I might be able to find some, and it was just a hard deal. So I think the reality is if I just drive an hour, 2 hours north, I could start playing with those fish more, but they're just not quite in this area.
all right, I guess we're getting into the end here, and I think I'd mentioned this. I know I talked to you about this here a while back, and I'll show you it here. We got the Z-Man Chatterbaits, but not what you're thinking. These are flashback minis, and then this one is a micro. And the flashback mini is a 1/16 and a 1/8 ounce, and it's just got a little crappie lure on the back of it. And then the micro is a 1/8 ounce. It's hard to see right there. You can look it up, but if you look up Z-Man's, there's a sticker over there. I can't see what it's saying, but it's called the Micro Chatterbaits and the Flashback Mini, and they're very small, downsized lures. So let me show you this one. I got this on my BFS setup, one of them now, and it's a 1/16 ounce.
Nice.
And it casts pretty well. This is the Daiwa.
Oh wow, you got a different.
Tula. I don't know if I show you this.
You are just a BFS whiz now, aren't you,
Dude.
John? You got is this the third setup?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, guys, he's hooked.
Yeah, this one the guy talked me into buying it at the fishing show.
Oh my gosh.
This one's designed for like forward facing sonar lures and like downsizing, so it doesn't have a clicker. But this reel I think is like $230 or something, brand new, and it feels like it. It's pretty nice. It's pretty effortless to cast something small like this, where I never would have imagined. But I got it on the Phoenix rod, so I changed the rod. I've had this rod for a little bit. So this is the Phoenix 6.8, and I got 5-pound fluorocarbon.
Ooh,
and I'm throwing this little bitty 1/16 ounce chatterbait, and I caught like 7 or 8 little largemouth that were all like,
man, that had to be fun.
10, 12 inches long. They were slamming it.
And
then I caught like 7 or 8 yellow bass.
Dude, I bet there's probably times a year where that's going to be that little setup right there, exactly how you showed it, would be great for crappie. When they're, if you can run that right through a little bit more aggressive school of crappie. And that looks like a lot of fun. I am so ready. I am so ready to fish, dude. I'm glad to hear you're catching fish. The only fish I've caught since the last one we've done is a little bass, and I caught him ice fishing. And we've still got a good amount of ice. It's gotten cold again, and so we're in safe ice, and I just haven't got out. And part of that's don't have a lot of time. Part of that's I'm not that excited to go ice fishing. I just want open water so bad. So I keep finding other projects to be doing around the house. And I'm like, man, just get me to like April. Get me to April. Anyway.
Yeah, he's just sharing a little behind the scenes about like making videos. And I'll tell you that. So I've struggled. I've had a tough start of the year. I can't really find fish. And we had 3 days of rain, like pouring down rain. And then there's this area that I found last year. So it's just messing around last year as a part of a Tennessee River that's on a lake that's about an hour away. And there's these along this edge, there's like 3 underground springs, or there's like 3 springs that you look over, it's blue water, and it kind of goes under the road into the lake, and everything was flooded, like everything was chocolate milk. But I knew that these springs, I'm like, you know what, those springs stay clear, because they're coming straight out of the ground. So I went there, loaded up. I was able to do 2 videos in one day, went back the next day and filmed another video. So I got like 3 videos out of like a day and a half, because they were just little largemouth and yellow bass were just loaded into this cove.
That's so cool.
Like that gave me some content. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been waiting for something like this.
And that's it. Like I think now that you mentioned it, it's like that behind the scenes, some of like the feelings of making stuff on the like making videos, like especially for you. I mean, and I'm sure everything that I feel is probably even more exaggerated for you, because you do this literally for a living. Like I don't depend on this, but your income depends on putting out content and having a consistent income, and your income is generated by primarily ad revenue. And so it's like, and then other parts too, but all those other parts go hand in hand with producing videos.
Yeah.
And like we put a pressure on ourselves sometimes, and it can be a little bit agitating when things aren't going your way. And it's like you have to take a step back and say, like, look, I'm making a fishing video. It's not the end of, this is not the end of the world kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely feel right now like a little bummed, like I'm excited to be able to go catch some fish and like make videos and have fun. And I feel kind of almost like a sense of guilt, because I know a lot of people enjoy watching my videos and I've just done none, hardly. And so, yeah, a little bit of a behind the scenes on what it feels like to do this stuff. I think people often don't necessarily understand that, and that's okay, because I wouldn't expect you to, but I think it is important to talk about sometimes.
I ended the last video I did saying, I was like, people are going to think I just show up and catch fish everywhere, because that's when I show the videos I do. But like, there's like 7 times in a row where I've did an intro and I never made a video from that.
Isn't that the worst? You should just make a compilation video of all the intros that never.
Yeah.
Here's 30 minutes of intros where I didn't catch anything.
Yeah. I'll say one last thing about these chatterbaits. Kind of like underspins and like a bunch of other lures. One thing, Ethan, have you thrown these? Have you used these?
It's been years. I have thrown the micro. I've never thrown the flashback mini.
Okay. Dude, these things like sit and just have this awesome action where it's just, you can feel it in the rod, just like a thud, like just a super fast thud. And as it just slowly moves, it like stays in that strike zone.
Yeah.
So well.
Yeah. And that's actually a good point, is you've got the 5-pound test on there, and that's a big difference maker. If you were to have heavier line, those would create a lot of lift and they don't sink very fast because they're so light. So you're going to end up being 3 to 6 inches beneath the surface if you're not careful. So the nice thing with those smaller weights is that you can really, like you said, kind of hover them in place, keep them real slow, and you're not sinking so fast that you're getting snagged. But it's something to be mindful of, and definitely your line diameter can make a big difference in where that bait ends up in the water column. So the 5-pound fluoro is probably like perfect from my perspective. So I want to pick up that setup. I wish I could just grab it right through my screen and go fishing with it, because that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I think it's something I'll probably usually more the 1/8, the 1/16. You got to be a little careful casting on that, but it's still, it's pretty fun. It's so light. But the 1/8 and then the micro chatterbaits, the micro has a way bigger hook. The flashbacks have a hook for everything. Like you can catch your yellow bass, blue. I had caught a bluegill. Okay. You can catch. I've actually used these before. I caught yellow perch, but I've been aiming to go back and try to do it again. So you can catch everything on the flashback. The micro chatterbait, it has a size 3 hook or something. It's a pretty good size hook,
and it's a little thicker too, right?
Yeah, it's a little thicker. But I casted it on that same setup. Feels awesome. Like when the bass start running or start getting more active, and then when I go do river floats where I'm kind of fishing for small bass to big bass, I think this little micro chatterbait is gonna be amazing. I think that this is gonna be a really, really fun lure that I can just throw and catch all size bass. They can get it in their mouth. It kind of sits there and like doesn't move too fast off the bank in current. So I'm really excited about trying those out more. I've been wanting to do them, so I'll be making a video of that pretty soon. But also hope to make some videos on the micro chatterbait pretty soon too. So yeah, that's something I kind of came across. I've had that in my mind. I've been ordering those for like 2 months, and I've been waiting for that day to kind of put it together. And then it finally worked out, and I'm like, oh, this is really fun. I think I'm going to use this a lot more.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited to get some warmer weather trends and stuff. I've obviously been griping about ice for a while now, but yeah, as far as like we're 45 minutes in, and I know that we're probably wrapping things up as far as kind of things that I'm most looking forward to this spring. I've got a lot of ideas, but I did just get a company sent me they messaged me and like, you want a fishing rod or whatever, here's some things we want to do. I'm like, sure. And I got like a 7'9" heavy rod that's rated up to 2 ounces.
Oh, wow,
so I'm gonna chuck around some like heavier swim baits.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm like basically gonna approach it from the standpoint of fishing with the polar opposite of ultralight, because ultralight is like me. That's what I do these days. I want to do some like polar opposite stuff this year, and actually play around with some heavy stuff. But obviously I'm not going to let go of the ultralights. It's just doing those things together. So I'm like really excited right now to do a weird combination of ultralight / super ultralight and heavy, and just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I have a 7'9" swim bait rod, and I've probably used it twice. It's so big and the handle's so long.
I know.
But like,
awkward.
It's so funny. It just feels weird. I know guys that fish with those all the time, like you, but yeah, I keep saying I've been organizing, and I got all kinds of big glide baits and swim baits. I'm like, man, I never use these.
Those the big boot tail pre-rigged ones, like there's a Bass Mafia Dangerous or whatever. I picked up a couple of those.
Yeah,
man, they look real good, and I can't help but like everything I'm visualizing with that is go to the river and just like skip that thing up on the bank, up on undercut banks around trees, and just see if I can get like a big pike or a big bass. That's kind of what that's where, I don't know, if it all works out, I'll be throwing some of those, and then also throwing some little 1-inch baits and the bluegrass bugs and stuff. So
I love a mag draft, but that Dangerous, I got one that's like where it's lined through.
Yep.
And I caught like an 18-inch smallie on it, like a 6-inch one. It thumped it, and then the bait came up, nice. and it didn't tear the bait up. So sweet. I actually want to get a couple more of those. But the one I was using was like a heavy sinking one. I need
I got
the
slow sink one. Yeah, I got the slow sink because I'll primarily do shallow river stuff. But yeah, I love a mag draft, so I'm definitely gonna throw some of those too. All right, yeah. What else? Anything else you've got? You're the main boss here.
No, I hopefully I'll do good in my tournament coming up. I got that, so I'm going to the Kayak Adventure Series in Florida. Some of y'all listening might be there. There's a guy. It's a what's the chain of lakes with La Cucci and something else kind of chain of lakes. There's a guy that caught 11-pounder 2 weeks ago in one of the lakes. He's not fishing the tournament, but it's a guy I know that fishes some of the tournaments. He just went down there. And man, it was like 25.5 inches long.
Can you just go ahead and catch an 11-pounder on the bluegrass bug for me?
Yeah,
I would love that. That would be good marketing material for our company here, bud.
Yeah. That's all I'm gonna throw down there. No. So I'm actually about to go tomorrow. I gotta organize. So I gotta like gear up. Like I might not catch big fish, but I kind of gotta gear up for bigger fish because there's a lot of big fish in these areas. But one thing, if I fish the river part, I'm going to be throwing a BFS with a Rebel Craw. And don't be surprised if I catch my biggest fish on that. Because
if you win a Florida tournament on a Rebel Craw,
that's what I've been telling everybody.
I will be so happy. Like, I want that so bad for you.
They'll be like, I just want to go up and talk in front of people and be like, yeah, I was throwing a 10-inch glide bait. And I'll be like, yeah, I was throwing a little Rebel Craw BFS,
I had a Zebco through my Rebel Craw. That's the only thing I brought.
Yeah. But hey, we appreciate everybody listening, and thanks for listening on the YouTube or on the podcast platforms. And Ethan, it's good talking to you again. We'll be back in March. Hopefully, I think by March, Ethan will have some fishing videos. I don't know. It's supposed to be freezing. It's supposed to be like in the 20s here in a couple days down here. So I don't know what y'all are getting.
Dude, more ice. We won't have open water by then, but
yeah,
I'll I'll probably try to go ice fishing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I want open water. Okay, that's probably a good spot to end.
Well, we'll see what happens. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. You've been listening to the Whatever's Biting podcast. Hope you can get out there and catch whatever's biting.